Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I wanted to give you guys a quick little review on my newest set of wheels, my Flow 60s. And I am going to be referencing some data here from the Flow website because I can't remember all the specs on the wheels, but I wanted to be accurate with you guys. About a month and a half ago, back end of March, early April, I did order a set of the Flow 60s. They're 60 millimeter carbon clincher wheel. They're very good price. So I'm gonna break this review down into a couple different aspects. I'm gonna start off with pricing. Now, pricing on the Flow on all the Flow wheels is really good. In fact, I think you'd be very hard pressed to beat Flow's pricing unless you went with like a real kind of cheap, no brand type thing on Amazon. Maybe you could get cheaper. But as far as like a well-known, reputable company, I think Flow has they definitely have very competitive pricing, and I would think probably as good as you're going to get, honestly. Now, as far as the actual pricing on the wheels, let's see here. The rear wheel, again, this is the Flow 60s, so they're the 60 millimeter depth carbon clinchers from Flow. I got them right off the Flow website. Now, the rear one was $624, and the front wheel was $574. So, as you can see, I mean, it was like $1,200 or so, roughly. So, very good pricing for what you get, I thought. And so I was willing to take my chances with them. And Flow is actually claiming that their newer wheels are actually nearly 1/2 pound lighter than their older carbon and aluminum versions. So Flow has done some recent redesigns on their wheels. Now, as far as weight, again, I'm pulling this data right off of the Flow website here. On these Flow 60s, the front wheel weighs in, again, this is without tires or anything, but weighs in at 807 grams. The rear weighs in at 920 grams. So we're talking like just over 1,700 grams for the pair. I mean, again, guys, they're light, but again, they're 60 millimeter wheels. They're a very deep dish wheel, and so you're going to expect them to be maybe a tad bit heavier. Again, like I said, I've got a set of Zip 404s that are a tad bit lighter, but they're also not as deep of a wheel. So weight-wise, again, I think for what you're getting with a 60 millimeter deep wheel, I think the weight's actually pretty good. Now, as far as performance of the bike, actually, I'll give you guys a couple more spec details here on the wheels before I get into performance. But now the actual rim depth is 62.8 millimeters, so they're actually a little bit deeper than 60. The brake track width is about 24 millimeters. Let's see here. They do have the Sapum C-X-ray spokes, which actually is I think it's a good thing. I'll get into that more when I talk about the performance of the bicycle, or of the wheels. Trying to think what else I can tell you guys. They are tubeless compatible. That's something to think about down the road. Right now, I am running them with tubes, but they are tubeless compatible. That's certainly a good thing in today's world. I think tubeless is a good thing in general. That's about all I can really think about that you guys would be too keen on. But they're a good wheel. Now, as far as the performance of the wheel, I have raced them now in a few races. They perform very well for me. Obviously, I've been out training on them, and one thing I find with these wheels is, again, I don't have any formalized testing. All I can do is tell you my experiences. From my experiences, I find these wheels to be like a super good all-around wheel. I've ridden them in crosswinds, on descents. I've ridden them in sprinting situations and climbing situations, and the wheels are performing very, very well. I don't find them, sketchy at all. In fact, I've got not a first generation, but an earlier generation set of 10-speed zips that I find to be very sketchy in the crosswinds. And I noticed it when I'm on those wheels on one of my older bicycles. especially because I use that bike as my training bike in the wintertime, you know, in the early spring when the roads are kind of crappy. So, but I'm on that older set of Zips, and I find those to be very sketchy in the crosswinds, and they're not even as deep as these Flow 60s, and these Flows are like, they're very calm in the crosswinds. You don't get that front end twitchiness, you know, and so I'm really liking the performance of the wheel. Now, as far as durability, one thing that I can comment on that I think is going to be actually a good thing is with the Sapum CX race spokes is I raced these wheels at the Quabbin Reservoir Classic. Race kind of ends on like a 3K uphill portion, and in the final few hundred meters of the race, it was a pack of like 30 of us, kind of all gunning for the, you know, for a top, you know, for a top placing. And in the final few 100-meter uphill sprint, you know, I got jostling with a bunch of guys, and long story short, basically my front wheel and another rider's front wheel collided, and his you know, skewer kind of got into my wheels and stuff, and actually tore a spoke out of the front Flow 60 here, which ruined my finish, obviously, for the race. But honestly, I brought the wheel to Plastic Planet Bicycles, my local bike shop here, who I race for, and $12 to replace a spoke, and the wheel sustained no other damage other than just a broken spoke. So I think the fact that, you know, the spokes are very replaceable is a good thing. So all in all, I'm liking the Flow 60s. Price, you know, bang for buck value. I would argue that these are going to be very hard to beat. Flow does give you some other options. They've got, you know, some shallower depth wheels, and I think they've even got a Flow 90, which I was looking at, but the 90, a little bit too deep for what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of that, like, good all-around wheel. I'm sure that Flow 90 rides well, but I went for the Flow 60s. Again, I don't know how many miles exactly I've got on them, but I've got, you know, several hundred miles on them now. Do have a few races on my belt. Felt like I was in a position to comment on the Flow 60s. Like them, think they're a good all-around wheel. So if you're looking for a wheel that you can ride in crits, you know, flat road races, even on hillier road races, even time trialing, anything, I think these Flow 60s are a really good kind of all-around wheel. If you guys are looking for a new set of carbon wheels, get on flow.com, on flowcycling.com. Give their wheels a look. Again, bang for buck value. I think you'd be very hard pressed to beat what they can offer, and you know, I think they'd be a certainly a worthy wheel to look at if you're looking to upgrade your wheels. So, all right, guys, appreciate the support on the channel as always. Looking forward to seeing you guys right back here in my next video.